Hey everybody, Apex here with some Shogun 2 clan tier list for today. I'll be using a few criteria to make this list. I'll be taking into account clan traits, any unique units they have access to, their map position, and diplomacy info into consideration. Briefly going over our tiers, we've got D tier. Clans in D tier are, either incredibly difficult, or they have bonuses that are just downright bad. Like if you play this faction, you're going to have a rough time. It's just going to be difficult. You'll have things working against you. It's just not very good. In C tier, we have clans with some good aspects, but are overall weak choices, either due to extremely difficult starts or bad or weak bonuses. In B tier, we'll have clans which are relatively generic. Nothing is inherently wrong with them, but everything above them are far easier or far more interesting to play, and everything below are far worse. And in A tier, we've got clans which have strong starting positions, can easily dominate Japan, great unique units and clan traits, all of it just an amazing faction and a great campaign experience. And then S tier, these are factions that will absolutely dominate Japan. They are either, extremely easy campaigns because the faction is just in such a strong position, or they get access to such strong and unique stuff that your overall campaign experience is going to be really easy with a lot of really good units and great bonuses. So, starting off, we have the Chosokabe. So, the Chosokabe's clan bonus grants stronger and cheaper bowmen, as well as increased income from farms. Archers in this game are great all-around missile units that function well in both defensive and offensive battles. Getting stronger versions of these will give you an edge over the other clans for the entire campaign. The extra farm income is also beneficial, but personally, I would prefer either a bonus to tax rate or per turn town growth for better long-term economy. The Chosokabe also get one of my favorite units in the game, and while it is far more dominant in Avatar Conquest, the Daikyu Samurai is still a great archer unit that combines the best part of Bow Samurai with the best part of Bow Monks. The Chosokabe start on Shikoku, forgive me if I butcher that pronunciation, and the clan can easily take control of the small island and have secure borders to be able to either expand into Kyushu to the west or the main Japanese island as well. All in all, I would put the Chosokabe probably, I was going to say either high B or low A. They've got a pretty easy campaign and good units that, your bows are going to get good for the entire campaign. Let's go, bottom of A tier. Up next, we have this is the Date. So the Date, their clan bonuses grant bonus charge, which means you're going to be way better on that initial engagement with enemy. They also get cheaper and stronger Nodachi Samurai, which Nodachi are very vulnerable to missile fire. They don't have a lot of armor, but they shred things they get into melee with. And getting even stronger versions just means you're going to be dominating the battlefield. The Date also get access to the Bulletproof Samurai, which have an above average armor rating and are quite fast. They're basically superior version of Yari Samurai. They also get the ability to potentially resist taking damage when they are shot by matchlocks, dramatically increasing their staying power against some of the best missile units in the game. On the map, the Date start to the far north of Japan with a pretty easy position to expand, although all the settlements are very far apart, and at certain points you'd have upwards of 3 front lines you're going to have defended. So it's fairly easy, but it's pretty slow as well, and you have to be careful. I would put the Date B, top of B. I'm not the biggest fan of Nodachis in this game, but the Bulletproof Samurai is great, and the starting position kind of hangs it behind just because it's protected and it's safe, but it's pretty slow. Hattori, I believe this is next. So the Hattori get better agents. They get better ninja agents, sorry, and they also get Kisho training on all of their units. Kisho training, it's pretty cool, but it's, in my opinion, mostly a gimmick in 9 times out of 10. It also makes your units more expensive, so they have a much worse economy, and you're going to have a smaller army at the start of the game just because you can't afford stuff as much. Their unique unit, I believe, is the Bandit. It's basically a not crappy, it's a slightly better Bo Ashigaru. I believe it's got a smaller unit size though, so Bo Ashigaru might actually be able to outtrade it just because they have more men. But they are better in hiding as well. I believe They have Kisho training innate, and they can hide while firing. I'm pretty sure, and they can hide in woodlands as well. So yeah, they're pretty good and very interesting, and they're a fun campaign. But due to their campaign starting position, they're right next to Kyoto. They can strike Kyoto really fast for an easy win, but they have enemies on all sides, and they don't have the strongest economy, and their units are very strong. So, and yeah, the bandit, of course, it's okay, but it's not the greatest. Honestly, Boashigaru with more arrows just in general might be better, but that's debatable. I probably put him in C tier. It's a bit of a rough campaign start just because everything is so expensive, and then their Kisho training on all your units just makes things, even further expensive, and honestly, it's not even that phenomenal anyways. Next up, we have the Hojo. The Hojo's bonuses are, what are they? Cheaper castles. I believe they get cheaper castles to repair as well. And they get better siege stuff. So they get increased siege bonuses and cheaper castles. Those are solid bonuses. Siege is not that big in this game, as of course if you played Shogun 2, you don't need siege engines to attack a fort or a city. You just attack it, and then you climb their walls or you burn down the gate. So it's a little situational, but it's not necessarily bad. Now, they do have a good position on the campaign map as well. They've got, I believe, you are friends to the Takeda, who are just to your north. So you really only have the east and west that you have to expand with and deal with. It's a pretty safe position, but those bonuses are just not giving them anything particularly good. Yeah, that's kind of it. Also, their unique unit, I believe, is the hand mortars. They're basically fire bombs with longer range, and fire bombs just are not that good anyways. So it's really a unit that even if you're playing Hattori, if you're gonna get it, you're just gonna get it to just try it. It's not actually a unit worth keeping. Like, I take bowmen, bow samurai, or bow monks, any day over hand mortars. So let's put them in C, but higher than the Hattori because they do have an easier campaign. Although the Hattori, I think, is a little bit more fun because, there's some funny gimmicks and stuff you can do with Kisho training, but I think Hojo's just an easier campaign in general and a much better economy, to be fair. Next is the Eco Iki, I believe. So the Eco Iki get bigger Ashigaru units and with greater morale. Great. More models means you're dishing out more damage and it stays in the fight longer, and you've got higher morale, so it just, it compounds even further. Equity are pretty great in the strong game. Or, they're pretty strong in the early game, sorry. Now, they don't get the ability to recruit Metsuke, which do hamper their economy, because Metsukes can just provide so much extra tax bonus. So their economy can suffer in the long run, but they get superior not bow units, they get superior monks. And monks are, loosely considered a tier 3 unit. If you didn't know, it's Ashigaru, upgrade into samurai, which upgrade into bow monks. But, Ashigaru are better than samurai in some factors because Ashigaru are cheaper and they have more men per unit. Bow monks are more expensive than samurai. They have a smaller unit than samurai, and they have worse armor than samurai. But in general, they have better morale and better stats. So they're going to take more punishment before routing, and they're going to dish out a lot more punishment. There are advantages to using each type of unit, whether it's cost effective or just the style that each unit is, but loosely, that's the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 unit system. And so they get bonuses to, loosely the tier 3 units, which makes them pretty strong in the late game. What else? They get access to the Lone Sword Ashigaru unique unit. It's got a pretty sizable attack, and it's a large unit because of their Ashigaru bonus. They're basically an Ashigaru version of Katana Samurai. They're really good. They'll deal a ton of damage, and they'll stay in a fight for a long time. It's a very cheap, efficient, cost-effective unit. They also get Marathon Monks, which are not unique to them. The Yusugi, again, pardon me if I'm butchering the names. The Yusugi also get access to Marathon Monks because they're kind of the two monk factions, but we'll get to the Yusugi later. Marathon Monks, pretty good anti-cav unit. Somewhat a cross of Yari and Nodachi. But again, they're a monk unit, so they have low armor. They're very vulnerable to missile fire, but they're very good in melee. Their starting position is a little rough. You have enemies on all sides. You are of the Iko-Iki faith, which means everyone just hates you because you're not of the same religion. But your generals can convert provinces to your religion. You spread it pretty fast. Your public order is never that big of an issue because you're big on monks. So you just make everyone love you. Yeah, it's pretty fun, and they get those bonuses to late game units. It's pretty challenging at the start of the game, I'd say, but it's honestly fairly easy in the long run, and those bonuses late game just compound, and it is just beautiful. I would definitely put them in A tier, and I would definitely is it gonna let me? Come on. There we go. I put them above the Chosokabe easily. They're both A tier, but I would say this just far outclasses. Like this would be an A plus, and this would be like an A minus. I mean, it is substantially better than the Chosokabe, in my opinion, but it's just not quite good enough to get into the S tier. Next up is the Mori. Poor Mori. If you guys have ever played Mori, you just know that they don't feel that great to play. Now they do get better ships and cheaper ships and more movement range on their ships. But if you haven't noticed, I'm pretty sure this was correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but their movement bonus just doesn't work. I'm pretty sure that it just lies. They don't actually get faster ships, and their better ships are still worse than some of the just generic endgame ships. The unique ship they get is just not that good. I mean, they're already in good position though. I will give them that, but they're just bland, and one of their traits just completely lies. I mean, really, the only thing that is going well for the Mori is they get Waco Raiders, which are basically lone swords that the Iko-Iki have, but a lot better. They also get Kisho training, I'm pretty sure, so you can advance deploy them. They're a very, very good unit. They're really, really good in multiplayer with Avatar Conquest. In the campaign, they don't perform as well, of course. And that's really the only saving grace that the Mori have, unless you really, really love naval battles in this game, but I don't. So high D or low C? They're not I'm gonna put them low C, bottom of C. They don't. It's not like they have a difficult campaign. They're in a decent position. They just like everything is useless. Like all of their faction benefits, in my opinion, are just useless. Like they're completely a bland slate with one okay unit, and that's it. Yeah. Next, the Oda. Now Oda, they have a special place in my heart, and that is because their bonus grants better and cheaper Ashigaru units. They also get access to the Long Yari Ashigaru, which is the direct upgrade of the single most cost-effective and debatably outright best unit in the entire game. They are poised to easily dominate central Japan and within quick striking distance of Kyoto, making for one of the fastest and easiest campaign victories you can get. I mean, honestly, easily S tier, undebatable. On hard difficulties, you might struggle a bit right at the start because you start at war on two sides, but it's pretty easy, to be honest. And then you just spiral out of control and completely dominate Japan. You don't even need samurai with them because your Ashigaru are better. You just spam out, you get bow monks eventually, so you just have bow monks and tons of long Yari, and you don't even, I mean, it's just easy. Turns a legendary campaign into an easy one, honestly. Next, we've got the Otomo. They're a matchlock-focused clan, unlike any of the other ones on this list. They get cheaper missionaries, I believe. They convert provinces to Christianity faster. They also get cheaper gunpowder units. They get, very, very quick access to non-bond trade and can easily dominate the starting island of Kyushu and then seize all the trade nodes around it for, almost infinite trade wealth. They probably have the single strongest economy you're going to have in the game is with the Otomo. They also get the Portuguese Tercios, an amazing matchlock unit. It's the size of matchlock samurai, but it's got better melee stats, better reload speed, and better accuracy. They shred, and you start with one right off the bat, and you can get a second within like 3 turns. They'll absolutely dominate the early game. Otomo, the big blue blob of Shogun 2, really a great faction. They also get access to the Dunderbuss cap, which is kind of a double-edged sword. If you didn't know, the Donderbuses are mounted cav with shotguns, and they do not care if there are friendlies in the way. They're gonna kill everything in front of them. The issue with Donderbuses are you need a cab barracks and the gun barracks, I believe. So it's pretty late game when you get them. They're fairly expensive, and they do have a very small range. They're a very high value unit. They're nice, they're fun, but honestly, the Portuguese Tercios are far better in terms of their two unique units. Where would I put them? Above the Eco Iki, below the Oda. So I would say honestly bottom of S tier. They have such a good economy, such a good game. They have a tiny struggle early game against the Shimazu, but they can easily overwhelm the Shimazu. It's not hard. Yeah, it's a very easy game. Insane money, insane starting position, amazing early match locks. Yeah, they're just great. Their one drawback that doesn't put them up is because they're so heavily focused on match locks. They don't have as good offensive power as some of the other factions, because matchlocks in general, you can use them both ways, but in general, matchlocks are more of a defensive unit. That's where they really shine, is defending. So that's the one thing going against the Otomo, in my opinion. Shimazu, speaking of them, they're next. So Shimazu get better samurai with higher morale. I believe they get better attack as well. They also have a blacksmith in their starting province, which you can choose to specialize into boosting the melee attack or the armor. I would always go melee attack personally. Armor starts to get diminishing returns once you hit like 9. And Katana Samurai, oh god, I don't know exactly what they start at, but you're going to hit that before you actually finish upgrading the blacksmith armory. So it's just not worth it. You get those diminishing returns. Melee attack, always useful. I would highly recommend the melee attack personally. But yeah, they're in a great position. They really only have one direction to expand. They can also deal with the trade nodes. They don't have quite the economy that the Otomo have. But in my opinion, you dominate the trade nodes, you probably have the second best economy in the entire game. There's really nothing that can threaten you. Otomo are pretty easy. You've got your boosted Katana Samurai. You just charge down everything that the Otomo have. They'll collapse easy. Even the Portuguese Tercios that they start with don't stand up against the boosted Katana Samurai that you're going to be throwing at them. It's just easy. Definitely going to put them in the S tier. Equal to the Otomo. They've got a very different campaign style, with Otomo being very range focused, you being very melee focused. But you both have insane economies. You have an insane starting position. Your only threats are each other. If you want to play range, play the Otomo. If you want to play a melee, play the Shimazu. Either one can go Christian pretty easily if you want to go Catholic. Either one can switch back to Buddhism as well. Very fun campaign, honestly. I really love them, but I would put them equally. They're pretty much as good as each other, but two very different play styles. Takeda is up next. All right, Takeda, pretty good position. I believe you are allied with the Hojo to your southwest, I believe. I might be incorrect there. But you're in the middle of Japan. Literally every direction is potential allies. The Hojo get overran pretty frequently in my campaign, so you're kind of surrounded by enemies. And yeah, you get better cav, and you get cheaper cav, and you get cav with better morale. But cav in Shogun 2, in my opinion, it's the least cav important game Total War has made. Now, I think actually, what is it? Thrones of Britannia, if you guys remember that one. Cav is actually even less important in that game, but we don't talk about that game. That game's not real. It didn't exist. Never happened. Takeda, yes, the cav is highly situational. It's not as important in this game as others, but they get so many boosts to their cav. They're still pretty all right. I mean, they're good units. They also get fire cav, which is the second strongest cav in the game in terms of stats. They're only behind the the Shogunate Guard cav. Unfortunately, Shogunate Guard cav you can't recruit, and you get like 1 for taking Kyoto. And fire cav you can get multiple, and you can recruit them again. That makes them just far better, in my opinion. Where would I put the Takeda? They're so cav focused, and they're not in the greatest starting position. I put them at the top of B tier. They can expand fast. It's a fun campaign. They're in a bit of a better position, a much faster position than the Date. The Fire Cav is very good, but having really good Cav doesn't make you a really good faction in this game. Unfortunately, it just doesn't. So I would put them here. Maybe I'm just not using Cav right. If you're really big on Cav, honestly, this is probably top of A tier. If you really love Cav in this game. I just don't, so I'm going to have to put it top of B tier. The Tokugawa. So Tokugawa are similar to the Hattori. They get nice ninjas, supposedly nice. I'll get into that in a second. They also get better Metsukes, I believe. They have higher increased success chance on their Metsuke actions, which is okay. I prefer to leave my Metsukes in a town, increasing my tax wealth. But if you use them offensively to kill other agents, yeah, that's going to be pretty useful. They also get good Diplo relation bonuses, so people are less likely to attack you, so you can pick and choose your own fights a lot better with them. So the issue with Tokugawa is, one, you're sitting next to the Oda, and the Oda are angry and I believe at war with you. So and a stronger faction because they have better Ashigaru. It's a rough campaign start. Like, it's difficult. I would put it in B tier off of the difficulty alone. However, one thing is going to drop it down, and I have to put it in D tier because of this. With the Mori, their ship, their bonus just, it lies to you. It's just not better. It just doesn't happen. Well, the Tokugawa supposedly get better ninjas, but they're also lying to you. The Tokugawa ninjas are just objectively worse. I mean, genuinely. They perform worse than the regular ninja, but supposedly have superior ones. Mori has a bonus that gives you nothing. Tokugawa's the only clan in the fucking game that actively hurts you for picking them. Like, you will have units that get worse because you chose to pick them. And that is just insane. And because of that and the, not easiest campaign starting position just puts them at D. If they weren't next to some pretty aggressive factions like the Oda, maybe C tier. But the combination of, being in a rough campaign position and just literally having units that are just objectively worse than the base ones, they just have to go in D. I'm sorry to any Tokugawa lovers. Pretty sure Tokugawa wins, like, historically, but not in this game. No, they're trash. I've never seen them do well with the AI, and you can do well with them, but they're not even that fun of a campaign, to be honest, just because you have no unique stuff. What did I miss? Oh, they do get one thing that's not completely irredeemable, but still not worth it that much. They get mounted gunners, which are a skirmish cav unit with guns. They don't perform that well, and you need 2 buildings to unlock them, and they're a pretty late game unit. It's just not worth it, honestly. Again, it's like what I said with the Hojo's mortars. I'd just rather take bow monks or, honestly, samurai bows. They're just going to perform better, in my opinion, at least. Especially in sieges, they will. Last but not least, we have the Yusugi. So they are similar to the Ikuiki. They get better and cheaper monk units. They also get better trade income. Unfortunately, they don't get any bonuses to help them in the early game, like the Ikuiki, who get bigger and more morale for their Ashigaru units. They don't get those at all, which is pretty rough. Their benefits are okay. I mean, they get better monks, which is good, but monks are fairly, they're a loosely tier 3 unit. It takes a while to get there. So late game, I'd say they're probably top of B, just looking at their late game, if you can survive that long at least. I can't. Oh, it's taken away. I'm forced to put it in D. Well, let me put them here for now. I don't know why. Oh, well. Lost my train of thought. They do get marathon monks, just like the Ikuiki, a pretty good unique unit. Not necessarily amazing, but pretty good. Yeah, I mean, they're strong. They've got nice early game faction. Their issues are they got a lot of strong factions around them. And their trade income's not that worth it because you're pretty far from the trade nodes. And, overland trade doesn't last too long in Shogun 2. It's only good really early game. I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, they're okay. They've got a rough starting position. And their bonuses don't kick in really until late game, personally, when you get control of the trade nodes and can start making monks. So I'd say late game, yeah, definitely up in the B tier. Early game definitely in the C tier. So overall, where would I put them? um, I would say right behind the Hojo. Honestly, Hojo, they're gonna have a better early game, and they're gonna have a better long game because your early game's better. That makes your long game better. Now, these guys are gonna have better units in the late game, but Hojo's gonna be so far ahead of them. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put them above Hojo. Yeah, Takida Date clearly superior to them. Much more fun campaign, better units, and you get your bonuses way earlier than with the Yusugi. But the Yusugi outclass Hattori. They outclass the Mori. You know, Mori just not that good. They're very generic and bland because their special abilities don't work and their navy's, not as important in this game. Hattori, expensive and hard starting position, and Hojo, honestly pretty bland because siege is not that important. But Hojo are in a good starting position. So yeah, I'd put the Yusugi right here. They're top of C, maybe bottom of B. It's going to depend on personal preference. My personal preference is telling me to put them in B because C has 4, and then that's too far. I would rather have 3 3s than a 4. Damn. God, I don't know. It's really right in there. Anyways, yeah, we're gonna put them here for now. Just know that they're really like on that line between C and B in my opinion. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. This is just my subjective opinion, of course. I think the only thing here that is objectively correct is Oda in S tier and Tokugawa in D tier. There was an F. I'd put an. Can I make an F? Let me just add a row below. There we go. There we go. That's more realistic. I feel like this is. There we go. Yeah, this is the most realistic now. Tokyo was just absolutely garbage. Mori's just not very good, and they're pretty boring. Double S? Here, we'll do that as well. This is the true tier list right here. Oda just so far above the rest, and Tokugawa is just so far below the rest. But yeah, it's just my subjective opinion. Let me know what you guys think, and I hope you enjoyed me listening. I hope you enjoyed listening to me, I should say, ramble about a 13-year-old video game at this point. I think this game came out like March of 2011, so like mid 2011. Holy crap! It has been over 13 years. That is insane. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'll stop rambling now. You all take care. Have a great day.